The All Blacks versus the Wallabies at Eden Park on Saturday is going to be one of the games of the year. I'm going to say that right now. So let's get into the preview show for this particular matchup, and let's go and sit in the park and talk about what could possibly happen. Now, who says we need a change in the New Zealand Rugby Union and who's running the game, and also in Australia? Well, guess what? The Wallabies are playing the All Blacks this weekend at Eden Park, and the kickoff time of the game has been scheduled for exactly the same time as the AFL Grand Final in Australia. So once again, the administrators of our great game are not doing what's needed to protect our game. An opportunity for them to get a fantastic audience for this game, and they clash it with the biggest AFL game of the year. I say no more. Let's get into the video and talk about the Wallabies and the All Blacks. And this is a really exciting encounter for me, and it's probably because I'm sitting in the middle there somewhere, and I'm really excited about this Australian team, and I'm really disillusioned by the All Blacks team, so I've got no idea which way it's going to go. Now, Joe Schmidt has actually named his team, so I'm in a position now to give you the matchups and what we think is going to happen in the game. Now, I want to hear your comments, of course, so let me know in the comments below what you think is going to happen in Auckland at Eden Park. Is it going to remain the fortress, or is it going to become the dam that was breached by the Wallabies? That's one thing we've got to consider this weekend for sure. Now let's have a look at the matchups in the front row, because the All Blacks are going to be up against James Slipper, they're going to be up against Pollard, and they're going to be up against Taniela Tupou. And when I say the All Blacks, well, we're talking about Ethan de Groot, Cody Taylor and Tyrell Lomax. As I said in my All Black team naming video, I thought the All Blacks might have the upper hand here. Huge shout out to James Slipper. He's playing 150th test match this weekend, a huge milestone for him. And what a great opportunity to play his 150th at Eden Park against the All Blacks, one of the Wallabies' strongest rivals, if not their strongest rival over the years. Well, I'm predicting the All Blacks are going to get the upper hand in the front row, and I'm predicting we're going to see a few penalties as a result of that. So let's see whether or not that comes to fruition. Now, okay, let's have a look at the matchups for the locks in this game, and this is really interesting for me. We've got Fabian Holland and Tupou Vaa'i for the All Blacks up against Salakai Lotto and Nick Frost. Nick Frost has been one of the standout locks in the Rugby Championship for me this year. He's one of those guys that goes under the radar. I don't know why. He should be getting more accolades than he is, but he's been outstanding in the lineouts this year, and I expect this to be a really tough competition. So what team is going to compete against the other in the lineouts? That's something I'm going to be really watching for. Of course, the All Blacks will want Tupou Vaa'i to be dominant as well in the lineouts, and Fabian Holland starting this game for the All Blacks. This is too close to call in the locks for me. I think this is going to be a really good matchup. So if I look at the tight fives, I'm only giving the All Blacks a slight advantage because of their front row if they play to their full potential, and I think because Cody Taylor's back in the All Blacks this weekend, that's giving them the nudge for me. And also Taniela Tupou, I think he's a little bit prone to giving away too many penalties, and that could be a problem for the Wallabies overall. So that's how I'm seeing the tight five. And then moving to the loosies and the battle we're going to see there, I'm licking my lips over this one. The All Blacks with Simon Parker, Ardie Savea and Wallace Satiti are going to be up against Tom Wright, Fraser McWright and Harry Wilson. What a matchup this is. This is going to be extraordinarily good to watch. So keep your eyes on the loose battle. We haven't seen the best, in my opinion, of Wallace Satiti so far this year. But as far as these Wallabies back three are going, Fraser McWright has been brilliant. Tom Hooper has been fantastic. And Harry Wilson, what a leader he's turning out to be for this Wallabies team. I'm giving the edge to the Wallabies in the back three, slightly over the All Blacks, only because Wallace Satiti hasn't been playing fantastic. I think Simon Parker and Ardie have been doing their stuff, but I haven't seen the level yet from Wallace Satiti this year that would tell me that I think that the All Blacks are going to get the edge in this area. No, I think the Wallabies are going to get the edge in this particular area. So there you go. That's the starting 8 from both teams. That's how I think I'm reading it into the matchups. Let me know in the comments what you think. Okay, so let's look at the matchups at the 9 and 10. So New Zealand's got Roygaard and Bowden Barrett starting this game. The Wallabies are going with Tate McDermott and James O'Connor. Really interesting from Joe Schmidt, I feel, for this one. And I think his intention here is that the Wallabies don't want to lose touch in the first half with the All Blacks, and we know that this could be a very important component to this game. So by starting Tate McDermott, who's probably your best halfback in the Wallaby team so far this year, and having James O'Connor start the game, I think this is their best opportunity to stop the All Blacks running away with it in that first 20 or 30 minutes. We're going to have to see how Cam Roigard impacts this game. As I've mentioned in previous videos, he's the guy that can cause defences a lot of problems. And Fraser McWright, Tom Hooper and Harry Wilson are going to have to be on their minds when it comes to making sure Roigard doesn't get away with those sniping runs and causes havoc for the Australian defence. And that could be an area where the All Blacks really target early on in this game to put the Wallabies on the back foot. Again, I'm thinking that the Wallabies need to stay in touch with the All Blacks through the first half of this game if they're going to have any chance of winning it, in my opinion. So there we go, interesting matchup. Who's the better kicker? Well, I think they're both the same. I think James O'Connor can have off days as well when it comes to his kicking. We know what Beauden Barrett's been like in recent games, up and down and all over the place at times. So maybe the number 9s are going to take more responsibility for the kicking in this game. I wouldn't be surprised if that's the case. Now let's move out to the midfield, and the matchups here are very interesting indeed. Australia, Len Eki-Tau and Joseph Suaalii are starting to form one of the best combinations, I think, in World Rugby at 12 and 13. And they're going to be up against Geordie Barrett and Billy Proctor, who got absolutely smashed by the Springboks in the second half in Wellington. So I think I'm going to give this one to the Wallabies. I think this matchup is better for the Wallabies. These guys have been fantastic. Eki-Tau knows how to get over the gain line. And Joseph Suaalii, when he's anywhere near the red zone for the opposition, we know that he's got the ability, the power, the height, the strength to get in there and score tries. The other thing Suaalii is going to be involved in is getting the high ball for the Wallabies and winning some of those contestable kicks. So watch out for him trying to be dominant in that area. We're going to have to rely on Geordie Barrett doing the same thing for the All Blacks on the other side. But as far as the midfield battle goes, I'm giving this one to the Wallabies. I think these guys are absolutely class, and on their day they can beat any defensive line in the world. Okay, moving out to the wings now, and this is where things are changed up a little bit for the Wallabies with some injuries in their team. We're going to see Corey Toole on one wing, and we're going to see Harry Potter back in this Wallabies team. The All Blacks, of course, have got Caleb Clark and they've got Leroy Carter. I think the All Blacks' potential here is a little bit more dynamic than the Wallabies, and I suspect that they're going to have the better of this particular competition. Now, Harry Potter's coming back into this Wallabies team, and for me, that's a little bit of an undercurrent towards a problem because he hasn't been part of those really tough games that the Wallabies have been in and closing out games at the end. This is going to be a pressure cooker environment at Eden Park on Saturday, and because Harry Potter hasn't been involved in those particular games, it could be a weakness for the Wallabies. I'm just highlighting that as something to watch out for. I also don't know how good he is under the high ball, and I suspect that that's going to be a big component for both teams to deal with in their back three. At fullback, we're going to see Max Jorgensen on the fullback position. This could be good or bad for the Wallabies. He could actually ignite the game from fullback. He's got that brilliant talent, of course, so this could be a masterstroke from Joe Schmidt. We'll just have to watch to see how it goes. But of course, with Tom Wright out and Andrew Callaway out, the Wallabies been really hit when it comes to their resources for the number 15 jersey. The All Blacks, of course, have got Will Jordan. He hasn't had a couple of good games in that jersey for the All Blacks, so I'm expecting that he's going to try and bounce back on Saturday against the Wallabies at Eden Park. Let's see how that goes. But I'm probably going to give this one to Will Jordan in terms of just more time in the 15 jersey over Max Jorgensen, who's going to have his first start there for the Wallabies. Okay, let's look at the matchups now coming off the bench, or as the All Blacks like to call it, the impact players, because we're using that vocabulary now in New Zealand. And let's see how they match up. Now, the forwards, the front row that's going to come on for Australia, Amosa, Bell, and also Alalatoa. Now, this is a really good trio that can come on. Against the All Blacks, it's Taimaiti Williams, Samasoni, Takiaho, and also Fletcher Newell. So this is a really good front row for the All Blacks. They didn't play well against South Africa. So if they step up and they play really well, I think they can have it over these three from Australia. My only thing is, I think Angus Bell is the best impact player coming off the bench in any front row in Rugby Championship Rugby at the moment. He's outstanding. He can score a try. He loves doing that against New Zealand. And he's brilliant in general play. Amosa, we're going to have to watch for his line-out throws. That's going to be a key component of the second half for the Wallabies. So watch out for how he goes when he comes on the field and those throw-ins to the line-out. And then the other two forwards that are going to match up against each other are going to be Jeremy Williams and Tizano for the Wallabies against Patrick Tuipiloto and Peter Lakai. I like both of these picks from both teams for different reasons. I think in terms of Jeremy Williams has been coming on and providing very solid support, and Tizano's a beast coming off the bench. He's underrated as well, this guy. He can do a lot of fantastic stuff. He's so strong, he's great at the breakdown, and he can be a real impact player as well. So this is too close for me to call. I'd probably give it to the All Blacks a little bit, only because of Patrick Tuipiloto and my fondness for him coming off the bench. I think he's an outstanding player. So I would give that particular area of the game with those two players to the All Blacks slightly again, but don't underestimate Jeremy Williams and Tizano coming off the bench for the Wallabies. They are absolutely outstanding as well. We're going to see a different look Wallaby backline come off the bench this weekend. Lonergan is going to get his debut, the halfback. He's brilliant. I haven't seen a lot of him play, but he can really feist it with the best of them. And then we're going to see Edmund and Dalganu, and those are probably two weaker links. Now, as a result of these selections, I don't think the Wallabies have got the same power as they had coming off the bench, particularly against Argentina and South Africa earlier in the Rugby Championship. So it's going to be really interesting to see how these guys go. And they're up against Cortez Ratama, of course, Quinn Tupaia and Damien McKenzie. So on paper, I would give this to the All Blacks in terms of having a more effective backline coming on the field. Three players that can really change the course of the game, which I haven't seen that much of this Wallaby backline off the bench to really make that call. So that's why I'm probably going to give this to the All Blacks from that point of view. So there you go. There are the matchups across the field for the starting 15 as well as for the bench. And boy, is it going to be exciting in Auckland on Saturday. There's some really big matchups there across the field. Let me know in the comments which is your most exciting matchup and what do you think is going to happen based on my predictions for those matchups. Do you think I've got them right, or do you see it going another way? Now, what's going to happen in this game? How's it going to be played? Who's going to go after it? Well, I think the Wallabies got nothing to lose in this game. All the pressure has to be on the All Blacks in this game. They're defending the record again at Eden Park. They're coming off a terrible loss to the Springboks. The Wallabies nearly got up against Argentina in that second game. They're riding high on their ability, their spirit, their passion, their trust for each other and their connection so far in this year's Rugby Championship. So they're never going to be underestimated. A lot of people are saying, well, the All Blacks need to get off to a good start. They need to put like 20 points on the Wallabies by half time and then try and defend from the Wallabies coming home in the second half. But what I'm seeing with this bench from the Wallabies this week, it's a little bit more fragile. I don't think they've got the same firepower as bringing a Tate McDermott off the bench, bringing James O'Connor off the bench and having an Andrew Callaway come in. So I think this is going to be an area where the Wallabies are going to struggle a little bit. And I think that's why we're seeing Tate McDermott and James O'Connor start this game from Joe Schmidt. I think he wants to stay in touch with the All Blacks as long as possible and to see whether he can build pressure on the scoreboard. It could even come from penalties from the Wallabies. If the Wallabies are still in the game after 60 minutes, then they definitely have a chance of getting this one. But the All Blacks look fragile in trying to defend a lead as well. Look what happened in Wellington, and also look what happened in Argentina in that second game. So I don't think any lead by the All Blacks is going to be sufficient enough against this Wallabies team just because they believe so much. And I said in my earlier video that I think the Wallabies actually have 24 players in their squad for this game, and the 24th player is that trust, that passion, that commitment to each other. And I think it's as strong, if not stronger, than any team in the Rugby Championship this year, and that's going to count for a lot in this particular game. There's no doubt about it that I think this Wallabies team is going to go to Eden Park on Saturday believing that they can take this record off the All Blacks, and I think this is the best prepared Wallaby team that I've seen in a long time that have gone to Eden Park to have a chance of doing that. But I think those key matchups for the All Blacks are going to be the difference in this game. I think it's going to be a tight encounter either way. I don't think the All Blacks are going to blow this Wallaby team apart. If they do, I'll be really surprised and I'll eat humble pie afterwards. But I think it's going to be a really, really close game. And if the All Blacks can't get that lead in the first half, then don't underestimate the Wallabies coming back into it and stealing it at the death. And I think that's going to be a very, very good likelihood in terms of an outcome of this particular game. I think a lot of people across the rugby world are underestimating this Wallabies team, and Joe Schmidt's done a fantastic job, but he's been seriously unlucky with injuries which carry over to this game, with Andrew Callaway and Rob Valentini not being available through injury. And I just want to see this Wallabies team with all their players fit and healthy and able to go at it, because I think they can beat any team in World Rugby at the moment, including the South African Springboks, no doubt about it at all. So there we go. Those are my thoughts around the preview for the All Blacks versus the Wallabies at Eden Park on Saturday. Let me know in the comments all your thoughts around it. What I've shared, do you agree with me? Do you disagree with me? Do you think Razor's picked this team just to have a look at giving them redemption for what happened in Wellington? Do you think Joe Schmidt is unlucky with his injuries and he's got the best team that he can actually field at the moment? And where do you think the Wallabies' weaknesses are going to be on Saturday in Auckland? Let me know in the comments. I'd really like to read those and find out from you all. Okay, there we go. That's the preview show for this particular game. Thank you very much for watching. If you do enjoy my content, please leave a comment. Also, like the video and subscribe to the channel. Over 75% of you who watch me on a regular basis haven't yet subscribed. Come on, guys and girls. It's a lot of work to do this. Help me out by subscribing to the channel, please. Now, just a quick one. Many of you know I'm putting together United Rugby Fans, a non-profit movement that's going to change the game of rugby across the world by giving a voice to 500 million rugby fans across the world. We've had enough of World Rugby and all the rugby unions controlling the game. We want to have a voice at the table, and United Rugby Fans, URF, is going to be that voice. So if you want to help me and other people that are coming together now in this journey to help the world of rugby, let me know in the comments. I'll get in touch with you. We can talk about how you can get involved, what you can do in your particular country, and let's go and change the world of rugby together. I'm super excited about this. It's a separate project from my Inside Rugby video, Inside Rugby channel with Mark. Nothing here is going to change in terms of my previews and reviews. This is an additional piece of work that I'm giving myself to do because I want to be a catalyst in helping you, all the rugby fans, get what you want from our beautiful game across the world. So check out the details on that if you haven't seen it already, and get in touch and let me know how you can help out. Okay, that's it, folks. I'll be back again soon with plenty more content leading up to round 5 of this year's Rugby Championship competition. What an exciting competition it is. And I'll see you in the next video. Okay, so until then, it's time to say adios from beautiful Cancun in Mexico. Bye for now, everyone.